The Lord be with you. A reading from the Holy Gospel according to Luke. Tax collectors and sinners were all drawing near to listen to Jesus. But the Pharisees and scribes began to complain, saying, "This man welcomes sinners and eats with them." So to them, Jesus addressed this parable. A man had 2 sons, and the younger son said to his father, "Father, give me the share of your estate that should come to me." So the father divided the property between them. After a few days, the younger son collected all his belongings and set out to a distant country, where he squandered his inheritance on a life of dissipation. When he had freely spent everything, a severe famine struck that country, and he found himself in dire need. So he hired himself out to one of the local citizens, who set him to his farm to tend the swine. He longed to eat his fill of the pods on which the swine fed, but nobody gave him any. Coming to his senses, he thought, "How many of my father's hired workers have more than enough to eat? But here am I, dying from hunger. I shall get up and go to my father, and I shall say to him, 'Father, I have sinned against heaven and against you. I no longer deserve to be called your son. Treat me as you would treat one of your hired workers.' So he got up and went back to his father. While he was still a long way off, his father caught sight of him and was filled with compassion. He ran to his son, embraced him, and kissed him. His son said to him, 'Father, I have sinned against heaven and against you. I no longer deserve to be called your son.' But his father ordered his servants, 'Quickly, bring the finest robe and put it on him. Put a ring on his finger and sandals on his feet. Take the fattened calf and slaughter it. Let us celebrate with a feast, because this son of mine was dead and has come to life again. He was lost and has been found.' Then the celebration began. Now the older son had been out in the field, and on his way back, as he neared the house, he heard the sound of music and dancing. He called one of the servants and asked what this might mean. The servant said to him, 'Your brother has returned. Your father has slaughtered the fattened calf because he has him back safe and sound.' He became angry, and when he refused to enter the house, his father came out and pleaded with him. He said to his father in reply, 'Look, all these years I served you, and not once did I disobey your orders. Yet you never gave me even a young goat to feast on with my friends. But when your son returns, who swallowed up your property with prostitutes, for him you slaughter the fattened calf.' He said to him, 'Son, you are here and with me always. Everything I have is yours. But now we must celebrate and rejoice, because your brother was dead and has come to life again. He was lost and has been found.'" The Gospel of the Lord.
Praise to you, Lord Jesus Christ.
We are ambassadors for Christ. We are ambassadors for Christ. St. Paul says that the Lord God has reconciled us to himself through Christ and has given us the ministry of reconciliation. As ambassadors of Christ, that's our job, to be ministers of reconciliation, to reconcile. Paul uses the Greek word katalego, which means to bring into harmony. Bring into harmony, reconcile. We're to be reconcilers, not dividers. We are to be the ones that pull people together and live in peace with one another. We are ministers of reconciliation. In the gospel today, we hear about reconciliation in a parable that Jesus tells the crowd and us through the scriptures. As we heard in the gospel, we hear about this man who has 2 sons. One of the sons decides he's going to run off, just go have fun. So he demands that his father give him his inheritance. Now, in the culture, that would have been very insulting, because he would normally have gotten his inheritance when the father was dead. But he's demanding it now. And so the father gives it to him. And off he goes. Off goes the younger son. Goes off to another country, wastes all the money, finds himself in a bad place. Then there's a famine. So now food is scarce. So he hires himself out to a citizen in the village who sends him out to his farm to herd swine. Can't get lower than that, herding pigs. That's pretty low. And that's what his job was. He's so hungry that he is jealous of the swine who have something to eat. Swine are happy, they're full of pods, but he can't eat them and it would make him sick. But the swine are fine. And so the son thinks, I need to be better than this. I'm going back to my father. At least his people have something to eat. And so he does. So as we hear in the parable, the father sees him. Maybe the father looks out in the distance every day, waiting for his son to come back. Well, on this particular day, he looks off in the distance, and there he is. There he is, coming down the road. And the father takes off at a run. Now, in this culture, mature men did not run. They sort of looked funny, and mature men were not runners. But this father is so enthusiastic about his son coming back, he takes off. And one reason he's running towards his son is that he's going to beat the villagers who are going to jump on this son and beat him because they think he'll deserve it because he's done a bad thing to his good father. And so the reason he's running is to get ahead of the villagers, then get to his son first. He has the servants put the father's robe around him, puts a ring on his finger, sandals on his feet, which is a sign that he's going to stay, and brings him to the house. So he has a wonderful sign of reconciliation. He didn't berate the young man, didn't scold him, didn't yell at him, didn't want to get revenge on him, but accepts him back with loving kindness and brings him into the house. And to quiet the villagers down, he's going to have a party. And so he tells the servants to kill the fattened calf. That's only done on very special occasions. The fattened calves would have been worth a lot of money. Experts say that the fattened calf would feed about 100 people. And so they gather the villagers together. So rather than beating up his son, they're having a party. And so they're dancing and singing, eating, having a great time. Then we hear, of course, then here comes the older son in from the field where he's been working. And he wants to know what all the merriment's about. And so they explain to him, "We're your brother's back, and your father's having a party for him." Well, as we hear, the son gets angry about that. He's resentful. He's jealous of the son. He wants to punish him. He wants to hurt him, maybe make him go away. But the father goes out and reconciles with the older son, calms him down, tells him good things about all the things he's done for him, that the son has done for the father, and that the father appreciates all of his loyalty. And so in that way, the father's bringing reconciliation to the older son as well. So we have three instances of reconciliation in this parable. We have father reconciling with the younger son, father reconciling with the older son, father reconciling with the village. And so they calm down and have a party and not be mad about what the son did to him. And so it's an example for us of what we're to be like as ambassadors for Christ. We're to be ministers of reconciliation. We're to reach out to people with kindness and love and understanding. Not be mean to people. Don't be resentful. Don't reject them and put them down or say bad things about them. But to be people of peace, reconciliation, and we should then live in peace with one another as ministers of that. We are celebrating the fourth Sunday of Lent. The priest is called to wear robes on this day. The reason it is to remind people that Easter's coming. We're through Lent, getting through Lent. This is the fourth Sunday. We don't have many more to go. And so whatever maybe we've done, we've maybe slacked off, we forgot what we promised to do on Ash Wednesday or for First Sunday of Lent to help ourselves grow in our relationship to Jesus and with one another. And so this is a time by the priest wearing robes to remind ourselves that now the time to get back to work, get back to those commitments that we made so that we draw closer to God and each other. The image that the church uses, it's like on the darkness of the night as you're getting close to the dawn, that through the mist you can see the sun just starting to rise behind the mountains. And what will happen is this rose color will lay on the mountains just as the sun's beginning to come up. And that's what this color is, to remind us that the sun of Easter isn't far away. It's beginning to rise. It's time to get back to work, to do the kinds of things we intended to do and maybe we forgot, but to get back to work, and so that we're ready at Easter time to celebrate not only the resurrection of the Lord, but our resurrection as God's people and as ambassadors for Christ who are carrying out our ministry of reconciliation.